If you've watched a few of my videos, today's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting to some of the comments that I get on my TikTok account. If you didn't know that I'm over on TikTok, the details are on screen now of how you can find me there if that's what you want to do. If you are completely new to our channel, I'm Jennifer. I'm the founder of Silk Helix. I'm a HR consultant. I produce content on education, employment law, helping managers, people managers and business owners on all things HR, employment law and getting the best out of your people. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a single video, and let's dig into those TikTok comments. What if it's long-term, 6 months minimum for chemotherapy? Now this comment was left on a post I made about long-term absence and how important it is to keep in contact with people during long-term absence. And this commenter's right that there are lots of different types of long-term absence that we need to be considering, and some of those are really sensitive, and chemotherapy is one of them. It's a difficult diagnosis for somebody to get. Often the outcomes are not clear in terms of how long somebody's going to need to be off work, what's going to happen at the end of a prescribed period of chemotherapy, how someone's going to react to that chemotherapy. A huge amount of unknowns in a situation like this. And that's what makes it so important to keep in contact with somebody. They are going through a really difficult period of their life. They therefore need to know what's going on for them at work. Now, this most definitely should not be asking them to ring in every day, every week, probably not even at all. This is going to be pre-planned meetings. This is going to be, we know the situation, we know it's going to be long term at this point. So that contact needs to be discussed and agreed with them. So it may well be monthly contact, a point of contact of somebody who is supportive. This is not when are you coming back to work. Absolutely not. This is, how are you doing? Is there anything that you need from us? Just catching up to see how things are going. Where that leads could go in different directions, but at this point, let's say this is the first 6 months, it's open communication. It's showing the person that we are supporting them. Now, there is a possibility that if this goes on really long term, that unfortunately it might get to the point of a dismissal. Often actually it doesn't in these situations. In my experience, these aren't the type of prognosis that do get to a dismissal. Therefore, we're actually looking at, well, how are we going to get somebody to return to work? And having something like cancer, which requires chemotherapy, has a massive impact on somebody. It's not just having chemotherapy, it's got a huge impact on their mental health, their well-being, all of these things. So returning to work is going to be huge. Other people have just got on and carried on, and the world at work has sort of stayed the same whilst they've gone through this huge life-changing experience. So part of that keeping in contact is making sure that they are in contact with what's going on at work, so that when they do come to return, we can work out a way that we ease them back into it, where they're not feeling like they're suddenly coming back into something that they don't really know what people have been talking about, they don't know what's going on, but it's something that's remained familiar to them. So what we're doing is keeping work part of their life, so that when they do come back, we're better placed to be able to have those discussions around, do you need a phased return? Is there other adjustments that you might need to support your return to work? Bear in mind that if it is cancer, then that is a disability from the day of diagnosis as defined by the Equality Act. So we need to look at reasonable adjustments, and we can only do that by discussing that with the individual and what they need, because what one person needs is going to be different to what another person needs. So this really is about that contact being to make decisions with the individual about what's going to happen. It's not about disciplinary warnings. It's not about harassing somebody to get back to work. It's not about guilt tripping them or anything like that. This is about how do we best support you and what do you need. And it may be that if somebody's really poorly, they're really struggling, that contact's agreed to be with a family member, so that they're not having to face the contact, and that you're having regular phone calls with a member of the family. Likely that you'll do a home visit, turn up with flowers, box of chocolates. Again, this is about how we support somebody and just keep them with that contact, what's right and best for them as an individual. Forgive the quick interruption to this video, and I will keep it really quick. If you've liked this video, found it useful, you can of course hit the subscribe button, but I also want to tell you about our digital courses. In our digital courses, I go into much more detail. The videos are very similar to these. It's me, it's on camera, but there's also downloads, there's sample forms, there's a few sample policies in there as well. All the things that you need to know. We've even got some coming where we've got live classes as well. So check out our digital courses. Details are on screen now and in the description below. Look forward to seeing you on one of our courses in the future, and in the meantime, I'll let you get back to the video. Okay, another comment that is definitely a sign of bad management here. I had to sign to say I have to call in daily before my shift, 5 AM, to say I won't be in, even though I am signed unfit. Disciplinary threatened if I don't. And I have replied to this comment to say it's not something I'd recommend to any of my clients. And I stand by that. That is not something I would recommend to any of my clients. Why? If somebody is signed off sick from work, if the doctor has given them a statement of fitness for work that says they are not fit for work, which I'm assuming is what they mean by signed unfit, why would they need to call every day? What is the point? As a manager, have you got nothing better to do than take a phone call from somebody to give you the same information every day, let alone the fact that they need to be recovering at home? Yes, we need regular and reasonable contact. Yes, we need to agree when we will make contact with this individual and when we will start discussing their return to work or how they're getting on. But it doesn't need to be at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, even if they regularly get up for work at 5 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't sound particularly great to be making them do that while they're off sick. I wouldn't even be expecting somebody at 9 o'clock in the morning to be having a sickness absence type discussion if they've been, I'm getting like, this is making me really kind of feel quite cross, and it's making me oh my words, because this is boundaries, this is bad management. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't threaten disciplinary. Disciplinary is not something we threaten. Disciplinary is something that we do if we absolutely have to, because it's a tool in our toolbox for managing people where people really aren't following the rules. But don't set up rules that set people up to fail, that they're likely to not be able to follow. Just agree a reasonable time, like, to talk to them and communicate with them and update them, and for them to update you. No. Right, I'm moving on. Okay, this is a really interesting one to me because I've got some personal experience with this. So my last company wanted me to call in every day when I was in hospital for a week with pneumonia. And my personal experience is a person in my life was in hospital with pneumonia, and I actually had to support them by contacting their boss for them. Luckily, I did make that contact, because after I did, they then contacted the boss themselves, and at which point they were fairly high on morphine and definitely didn't sound unwell. They really were. They were very, very unwell. And pneumonia is very serious. And if somebody's in hospital for a week with it, it is very serious. If somebody is in hospital, they do not and should not be having to call in every day. Doesn't need to happen. We need to be sensible in these situations. We need to recognise that somebody is very ill. They're being pumped with drugs which will impact their cognitive abilities, so impairing the decision making, impairing their sleep, which means that they're not going to be on the same life routine. So saying to someone you've got to make contact by 9 o'clock in the morning who hasn't slept during the night, there's a whole, no. I mean, do I really need to go into a whole load of reasons as to why this is a no? Like, somebody contacts you and they're in hospital and they've got pneumonia, then just make an agreement that you'll make contact when they're out, or that somebody else makes contact on their behalf in a couple of days, or agree something sensible that fits the situation, but do not make them call in every day if they're in hospital. Our local hospital doesn't even have good phone signal. It would be really hard to do. So just please don't on this one. If you're still watching at this point, thank you for watching. Don't forget my digital course that you can check out. Details are on screen now and in the description below. There's over 6 hours of content available as and when you need it, so go and check that one out. Check out these videos, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week.